Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, ask and answer a question, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro! Edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. This month is Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness Month. Now, traumatic brain injury, or TBI as it's also called, usually results from a violent blow or jolt to the head or body. An object that goes through brain tissue, such as a bullet or a shattered piece of skull, can also cause TBIs. Now, mild TBIs may affect your brain cells temporarily, but more serious TBIs can result in bruising, torn tissues, bleeding, and other physical damage to the brain. These injuries can result in long-term complications or even death. The signs and symptoms of mild TBIs may include headache, nausea or vomiting, fatigue or drowsiness, problems with speech, dizziness, or loss of balance. Sensory symptoms to TBIs include sensory problems such as blurred vision, ringing in the ears, a bad taste in the mouth, or changes in the ability to smell and sensitivity to light or sound. Now, cognitive or behavioral mental symptoms of TBIs include loss of consciousness for a few seconds to a few minutes, no loss of consciousness but a state of being dazed, confused, or disoriented, memory or concentration problems, mood changes or mood swings, feeling depressed or anxious, difficulty sleeping, or sleeping more than usual. Moderate to severe TBIs may include any of the signs or symptoms of mild injury, as well as these symptoms that may appear within the first hours to days after a head injury. Now, these physical symptoms include loss of consciousness for several minutes to hours, persistent headache or headache that worsens, repeated vomiting or nausea, convulsions or seizures, dilation of one or more pupils of the eyes, clear fluids draining from the nose or ears, inability to awaken from sleep, weakness or numbness in the fingers and toes, or cognitive. Now, there are cognitive and mental problems to TBIs, including profound confusion, agitation, combativeness or other unusual behavior, slurred speech, coma or disorders of consciousness, and loss of coordination. Now, the cause of brain injuries can vary anywhere from falls, vehicle-related collisions, violence, sports injuries, explosive blast, and combat injuries. Now, I personally know someone who suffered a traumatic brain injury, and that was my uncle. He suffered a traumatic brain injury in a car accident that he had just over 27 years ago. But but ever since then, he has made a full recovery, and he has his days, but other than that, he's been handling it like a champion. Now, I'm quite sure he can't speak for other people. There's some folks that to this day have suffered TBIs, and it's not easy for them. But if you're watching this, my heart is with you, and just keep on fighting, because you're here, you're alive, and that is a blessing. Now, there's someone that we all know that had TBIs. A very famous person. He's an actor and a comedian. Was once a cast member of Saturday Night Live, and I'm talking about Tracy Morgan. He was in a car accident a few years ago, and he suffered from a TBI, but he didn't let that stop him. He went back to doing what he loves. He's doing stand-up comedy, and he's acting. As a matter of fact, I just watched an episode of The Neighborhood that he guest starred on, and knocked it right out of the park. I know that. I can only imagine what a person that has a TBI goes through on a daily basis. There just are no words. And if you're watching this and you knew someone who had a TBI that didn't make it, my heart goes out to you and your family, or the family of the person that didn't make it. I mean, there just are no words. All right, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Or on the last episode, I asked which Batman villain was inspired by the short story Rappaccini's Daughter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Well, the correct answer is Poison Ivy. And 9 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, names been in the drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is... Ooh, I was about to draw 2 names there. Memphis Heller from Dangerfield, Texas. Congratulations, Memphis. Win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode, and this, or should I say episode 296, and this is a Teen Titan question. And because we're still in the month of March, and March is Women's History Month, this question is going to have to do with the female comic book character. So here it goes. True or false? Starfire is an original Teen Titan. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on episode 296. So, I gotta ask, any questions?
Questions are often random. Questions that didn't crime. Questions that we surviving. Questions.
I only have one question, and it's from Jesse Patrick from Fort Worth, Texas. He asked, do you have a display for your comic collection? Well, Jesse, when I first moved back here to Homer, I wanted to have all my comics in bookshelves. I wanted to. Growing up, I used to do that, and I wanted to start back doing that since I moved back here and I have my own place. But I became a member of this Facebook group called the Comic Book File Cabinets group, and I saw that a lot of them put them in file cabinets. So what I did was, I started buying some file cabinets from an office supply store, and then also buying long boxes. Now, the way it's going to be set up, I have an extra room here in my house, and I'm going to use that room for my collection, and I'm going to buy some more file cabinets and long boxes and put them all in there. Now, the long boxes are the only books that are going to go in the long boxes are discontinued books, and every other book will be in file cabinets. And the plan, as soon as I'm done optimizing everything, is there are going to be certain segments of episodes of the show where I'm going to do off in there, and I'm very excited about it. I mean, it's great. For almost 4 years, I have done episodes of the show in here, in this other extra room, and I love the backdrop that I have. I love the action figures and the desk and everything, but I also like to move around, and doing this is going to give me the opportunity to move around. I mean, there are going to be certain segments where I'm going to do here. There's going to be certain segments that I do in the extra room. There are going to be certain segments that I'm going to do in my living room. I mean, but I do have a setup, but it's temporary. But as soon as I get this room all done, which will be near the end of the calendar year, then it will. And then what I'm going to do as soon as I'm done, there's going to be an episode of the show, or I may even do a YouTube live or a live thing on social media, but I'm going to show y'all the finished result. But I hope that answers your question. If y'all have any questions y'all want to ask, please feel free to do so. They can be questions about my collection. They can be questions about any book that I want to read. But please, no personal questions. I will not ask nor answer them. All right, now it's time for Comically Speaking. So without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, I have three things I want to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking. The first two have to do with GeekCon, and one's bad news, and the other is good news. Really, when I think of when it comes to the good news, it's not really good, it's actually great. But here's the bad news. Now, the bad news is that voice actor Kent Williams, due to scheduling conflicts, will not attend GeekCon this year. Now, Kent Williams is plays the voice of the Supreme Kai on both Dragon Ball Z Kai and Dragon Ball Super, and he plays the voice of Father on Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And this kind of thing happens. Someone gets invited to a con, they commit to it, and then life gets in the way. And it's okay for life to get in the way, but it all depends on how you handle things. Just saying. Now to the great news. Now, this was a bombshell announcement of a guest that's going to be at GeekCon. I just learned about this right after I uploaded episode 393. And that's the news of Dwayne Dog Chapman. Now, Dog is a beloved bounty hunter, and he started making waves when he in 2003 when he went out of the state to capture this criminal. And he's also a beloved family man and the star of the hit TV show Dog the Bounty Hunter. And wow, when I found out about this, I thought, wow, there's going to be a lot of folks coming to GeekCon this year. This is probably going to be the most lit yet. I said it last week. Greg Adams, the creator and owner of GeekCon, never disappoints. So all I have to say is, y'all come, and try not to get in any trouble, because if you do, Dog will catch you. All right, now the third thing is that I recently got caught up with reading Thor. Now, there's this story arc in Thor called the God of Hammers, and we learned some things about Mjolnir that was never really revealed before. We learned that really to talk about this, I would have to go back to when Mjolnir was created. Mjolnir was actually forged by on the realm of Nidavellir by some dwarves, and it was said that the heat in the foundry where Mjolnir was forged was so hot that some of the dwarves died of heat exhaustion. And it was also said that the spirits of all these dwarves that had forged it, that had died, ended up being absorbed by Mjolnir. And we found out that those dwarves that were in Mjolnir had decided to exact revenge on not just Thor, but all of Asgard. And Thor, and now before that, Thor had a hard time picking up Mjolnir, and then it got to the point where just about everyone else, worthy or not worthy, were able to pick it up. And Thor ends up taking down Mjolnir the best way he knew how, and that was destroying the hammer itself. Now you're probably wondering, what's gonna come of Thor now that he doesn't have a hammer? Well, his half sister Angela finds all the broken pieces of Mjolnir and fuses it together herself, and then gives it to Thor. And he was able to pick it up with no problem. But then, oh, by the way, in the story arc, Mjolnir ends up killing Odin. Yeah, that's right. He killed Thor's dad. And at this point, Odin is no longer the king of Asgard. Thor is. And once Thor picks up Mjolnir, he hears his father's voice saying, "Keep your eyes open, son." And then that's going to culminate in what's going to happen in Thor number 24, which is coming out real soon. I can't wait, because it's a double-sized issue, because this is also the character's 60th anniversary in Marvel, and they're also going to lay Odin to rest. This is going to be a really bittersweet, double-sized issue of Thor, and I can't wait to read it. And I'll let y'all know what happens in that book. Alright, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
Alright, first up is the Amazing Spider-Man number 92.BEY. Now, BEY stands for Beyond. This is a cutting room floor issue of the book. It's the miniseries is called Beyond, and it has to do with the story arc, but it's not part of the monthly series. It's, again, like what I like to call a cutting room floor issue. Avengers number 54. Catwoman number 41. Detective Comics number 1057. And finally, Titans United number 7. Alright, that's 5, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 11,246. Alright, well, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Here's a question for a free tee for episode 396. True or false? Starfire is an original Teen Titan. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on episode 396. And congratulations to Memphis Heller from Dangerfield, Texas, who won a free tee on this episode. Alright, now here's the road ahead for the show. On next week's episode 390, or well, the next episode, which I'm going to do in the coming days, episode 395, I'm going to raise awareness of one more cause for the month of March, and that's multiple sclerosis. And multiple sclerosis, which is also called MS, affects a lot more people than we think it does. And I personally know some folks that have MS. I personally know some folks that have lost their lives to MS. So if you're watching this and you happen to have MS, or you know someone that has MS, or you know someone that lost their life due to MS, this episode is for y'all. And then on episode 396, I'm going to show some love to whoever wins the NCAA Women's Basketball Champion. It may be UConn, it may be Stanford, it may be South Carolina, or it may be Louisville. The Women's Final Four starts this weekend. And then on episode 397, I'm going to show some love to the whoever wins the Men's NCAA Basketball Championship. And their Final Four starts this weekend as well. It may be North Carolina, Duke, Villanova, or Kansas. Now, a year ago, I showed some love to both of them on one episode, but I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I want to show some love to both of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 episodes next week. Episodes 396 and 397 will be next week. And then on episode 398, I'm going to raise awareness of autism. Autism affects a lot of people, especially children. And I personally know some children with MS. And so this episode is for them and their parents and the rest of their family, because any kind of adversity or anything of the sort, it doesn't just affect that person; it affects their entire family. It affects the community. So that episode is for y'all. Then episode 399. The last of the 300s, I'm going to raise awareness of oral cancer. And then finally after that, the 400th episode. I tell you, I'm so blessed to have been doing the show this long. And I'm so grateful for all the love and the fans that I've gotten over the years, and I'm so grateful for what's to come. Definitely. Now, at the beginning of the show, I know there was a lot that I had to talk about with TBIs, but here's the thing. We need to be a lot more mindful of what we know. Here, and there's so many folks that are so content with what they already know, and they would rather care less. But no, that's not the way to think. I mean, don't give into the saying of a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. That is wrong. And whoever said that ought to be ashamed of themselves. But knowledge is power. I mean, always strive to learn something every day. Don't limit yourself. And that's what I always do. I always try to learn something new every day. And even if it's something that I may already know, I try to relearn it. That's how we grow. Now, if you have any suggestions or any positive comments you want to leave, go ahead and do so. Anything you would think that'll make the show better. Now, granted, and I say this a lot, it may be my show, but any suggestions or any constructive criticism never falls upon deaf ears with me. All right, I'm Victor Nunley on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next time for episode 395. So until then, be safe, be blessed,